something.
Tonight, hurricane warning. The first named storm of the year triggers mandatory evacuations in a state of emergency in Florida. Alberto is on its way. War planning. President Bush gathers advisors to rework U.S. strategy on Iraq. He says the death of a terrorist leader opens a window of opportunity. Quarterback crash. The winning Super Bowl quarterback is seriously injured in a motorcycle accident. He was not wearing a helmet. And the gentle giants. Elephants are disappearing from zoos across the country. The struggle to keep one of the most popular animal exhibits from extinction.
From ABC News, this is World News Tonight with Charles Gibson.
Good evening. We knew they'd come often this year. We didn't know they'd come this early. Talking about hurricanes. Alberto is the first. It is still a tropical storm, but by the time it hits Florida's Gulf Coast tomorrow, it could well be at hurricane strength. Not a major hurricane, perhaps, but the state of Florida is taking this storm very seriously. ABC's Mike Von Fremd is at the point where Alberto is expected to come ashore, Cedar Key, Florida. And Mike, I understand they are already moving people out of there.
Yes, they have, Charlie. Cedar Key is a vulnerable fishing village, and officials have ordered a mandatory evacuation beginning this evening. Now, police are not going to go door to door, but they do expect everyone to be off this island. Earlier, people were furiously sandbagging their homes and businesses. This is low tide, and waves are already pounding against the seawall. There's no high ground here. The tidal surge is expected to be about 10 feet. The intensity of this storm, Charlie, has caught many by surprise.
But, Mike, it is still basically, even if it gets to hurricane strength, a relatively mild one. And you wonder, would they have been having mandatory evacuations last year?
Well, I can tell you for sure, Charlie, the people on the island wouldn't have paid any attention. I've been here in years past, and people wouldn't budge for anything less than a Category 3. Everything has changed. People are much more on edge. Many are leaving, and you saw how quickly officials put the mandatory evacuation into order.
All right, Mike Von Fremd in Cedar Key, Florida. If Alberto comes ashore as a hurricane, it would be the earliest hurricane to hit the United States in 40 years. The hurricane season began just 12 days ago. ABC's Chris Cuomo is also on the Florida Gulf Coast, North Reading, just north of Tampa. Chris?
Charlie, the wind and the surf are kicking up here, as are concerns about Alberto, not just as a storm, but for what all this means about the rest of the hurricane season. The stronger this first storm becomes, the more worries there are about what may come next. Alberto is taking people by surprise. What seemed like an ordinary storm just last night is now generating winds close to 75 miles an hour. A sudden shift that forced Florida's governor to issue those mandatory evacuations.
If you're ordered to evacuate, you really should do it. Don't think that you can ride out a storm. It's not worth losing one's life.
With Alberto still 150 miles from expected landfall, FEMA is mobilizing 96 trucks with food, water, and ice in the Gulf states. And Coast Guard aircraft are tracking the storm.
Well, Tropical Storm Alberto has gotten a little better organized, and as a result, maximum sustained winds just below hurricane strength.
Over the past 2 years, Florida has been hit by 5 major hurricanes: Charlie, Ivan, Francis, Jean, and Dennis. While not predicted to be a major hurricane, to go with Alberto's winds, rainfall of 6 to 12 inches is expected in areas along the coast, as well as 4 feet of storm surge. Once welcomed as a solution to months of drought and wildfires, Alberto is now a source of concern in the Sunshine State.
Certainly not only are we going to get the locally heavy rain across central and north Florida, but there will be the threat for isolated tornadoes. And I think that Alberto is a clear indication that we are looking at yet another busy hurricane season.
Right now in most of the areas, Charlie, the concern is flash flooding, but because of the drought in this area, many counties, experts say, can hold as much as 5 inches before there will be flash flooding. And many of the areas that are expected to be the most hard hit are also some of the least populated. And that's some good news right now around here on an otherwise increasingly gray day.
Chris Cuomo on Florida's Gulf Coast this evening. The other major story of the day, President Bush summoned his entire national security team to Camp David, a sort of war council to rethink policy in Iraq. It was an overall review of how to combat insurgents in light of the death of Abu Musab al-Zarqawi and how to bolster the new Iraqi government now that its cabinet is complete. ABC senior national correspondent Jake Tapper has spent the day at Camp David. Jake?
The president emerged after almost 5 hours of meetings with his national security team and outside experts to say the now fully formed Iraqi government and the Iraqi people would ultimately decide Iraq's fate.
The best way to win this war against an insurgency is to stand up a unity government which is capable of defending itself, but also providing tangible benefits to the people.
The summit comes just 4 days after the successful operation that killed insurgent leader Abu Musab al-Zarqawi, and on the same day that his replacement was announced.
I think the successor to Zarqawi is going to be on our list to bring to justice.
Mr. Bush called the summit after new Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki finally named an Iraqi defense minister and interior minister last week. Without that achievement, the White House says this summit would not have happened. The president is under tremendous political pressure with low poll numbers and his own party worrying about what effect this unpopular war will have on November's midterm elections.
You don't call these kinds of summits without signaling to the American public something's afoot that's quite different.
But it is unclear what will be different. The White House cautioned that this meeting will not lead to an announcement of reductions in the 126,000 U.S. troops in Iraq, despite optimistic projections yesterday by the top U.S. commander, General George Casey.
I think we're going to be able to see continued gradual reductions of coalition forces over the coming months and into next year.
Before U.S. troops can leave, Mr. Bush wants to assess the credibility of Prime Minister al-Maliki's prediction that the 270,000 trained Iraqi forces will take the lead on security by the end of 2007. Another priority will be figuring out how the U.S. can help Prime Minister Maliki boost Iraq's electricity output and oil production, crucial to jumpstarting Iraq's reconstruction. Tomorrow, Prime Minister al-Maliki and his cabinet will join President Bush and his team via video teleconference. Both leaders are eager to project images of being in control and not mere hostages to a turbulent situation on the ground in Iraq. Charlie?
ABC's Jake Tapper at Camp David. There are other items to report tonight from Iraq as the president acknowledged al-Qaeda in Iraq announced a new leader. His name is Abu Hamza al-Muhajir. On its website, the group also vowed more beheadings and bombings. And the U.S. military released new details about Zarqawi's death. It said U.S. troops reached Zarqawi 28 minutes after the bombing and provided first aid before he died 52 minutes after the attack. The autopsy found he died from catastrophic lung injuries. There was no evidence he was beaten or shot. And the military says information from Zarqawi's safe house has led to the arrest or capture of 210 suspected terrorists. Back in the United States, the Supreme Court issued two significant decisions today involving the death penalty. The rulings signal a new caution on capital punishment. One decision could delay many executions. The other could give those facing capital punishment a better chance for a new trial. Here's ABC's John Cochran.
Last January, strapped to a gurney and with only moments to live, cop killer Clarence Hill got a reprieve from the Supreme Court. Today's ruling means Hill and more than 3,000 other condemned killers will have more leeway to argue that those injections are cruel and unusual punishment, and therefore unconstitutional.
There's no question that in the short run, the states are going to have to defend their drug cocktails.
Justice Anthony Kennedy wrote, today's ruling would not necessarily prevent the state from executing him by lethal injection, but it will give Clarence Hill and others on death row the chance to point to recent medical studies, such as a British one that showed 21 of 49 prisoners endured suffocation and a burning sensation.
Today's ruling means executions all over the country could be delayed for years as the legal fight plays out. And the court's other decision today could also create more delays.
In that case, the court ruled that Paul House, who's been on death row for 20 years, can use new DNA evidence as he argues he did not rape and kill Carolyn Muncie. The court said if evidence is truly important, it can be used. That gives new hope to hundreds of others on death row and is a blow to officials who have fought for speedier executions.
Whether we have the death penalty or not is almost becoming moot. People are spending all of their natural lives on death row rather than having the sentence be complete.
With its rulings today, the court seems to be signaling that even though it is a conservative court, it is taking a long, hard look at capital punishment. John Cochran, ABC News, the Supreme Court.
And in Reno, Nevada today, a sniper shot and seriously wounded a judge at the local courthouse. Police sealed off a 6-block area as they hunted for the sniper who fired at family court Judge Chuck Weller, hitting him in the chest as he stood near a third-floor courthouse window. The injuries are not considered to be life-threatening. And still ahead on this broadcast, the FBI says violent crime is up by staggering amounts in some communities. What's behind the increases? That's our closer look. Star athletes and risky behavior. The Super Bowl quarterback injured today in a motorcycle crash, and he was not wearing a helmet. And what's happening to the elephants, a popular attraction disappearing from America's zoos.
This is World News Tonight, brought to you by Nexium.
Me? I'm a problem solver. There's a problem, I solve it. One problem I thought I'd solved? My acid reflux disease. I thought it was just bad heartburn. But when I went back to my doctor, he told me over time stomach acid had damaged the lining of my esophagus. He prescribed Nexium. Said I needed more than heartburn relief. My esophagus needed repair. Nexium healed the erosions in my esophagus. And one prescription Nexium pill a day keeps me healed and relieves my heartburn. So I don't just feel better, I am better. My doctor did say other serious stomach conditions may still exist, and headache, diarrhea, and abdominal pain could be side effects of Nexium.
Talk to your doctor about Nexium and find out if a free trial is right for you.
Even the best problem solvers need a little help sometimes.
Nexium, the healing purple pill. If you can't afford your medications, AstraZeneca may be able to help.
My life is more than I expected, so it's a good thing there's Caltrate. It does more than I expected.
Caltrate is clinically shown to help stop bone loss, and it may also help reduce the risk of colon cancer.
Bring it on!
Caltrate, more than you expect.
The superior hold of Fix-It and Control, now combined with a blast of scope flavor for fresh breath. New Fix-It and Control plus scope flavor.
Patti LaBelle has diabetes.
I found a better attitude when it comes to eating.
New One Touch Ultra 2 with before and after meal averages can help you see how food affects your blood sugar.
One touch changes everything, yeah.
Right now at Red Lobster, create your own summer seafood feast. Choose 2 or 3 favorites like sweet snow crab or crunch fried shrimp. Or try new pan-seared sea scallops. Create your own feast for limited time only at Red Lobster.
Now that's what I'm talking about. This is not a toy. You want to go again?
Yes. Bold moves. They happen every day.
New FBI crime statistics were released today. For the first time in 5 years, there has been a significant rise in the violent crime rate, and we're going to take a closer look tonight at why. The increase in murders is especially dramatic, up 61% in Nashville, 42% in Kansas City, with double-digit increases in Houston, Memphis, Milwaukee, and Philadelphia. Overall, murders in America increased 5%. Indeed, every region in the country saw the number of violent crimes go up. Here's ABC's Pierre Thomas.
Kansas City police were stunned by a dramatic jump in homicide last year.
They're looking at every one of our murders from last year to try and find out if there is some common thread.
Why the surge?
We've seen gang activity making a great resurgence. We've seen more at-risk kids. We've seen more guns floating onto the street.
More of those guns are getting into the hands of juveniles, and criminologists say large numbers of violent career criminals are getting out of prison.
The very people we sent away back in the 80s and 90s are returning back to the streets, back to their old neighborhoods, back to their old ways.
Police say the nation is paying a price for slashing successful efforts, such as community policing and after-school crime prevention programs. Programs they say led to a nearly decade-long decline in crime in the 1990s.
1990s, we had the crime bill, 100,000 more cops, built more prisons,
Unfortunately, starting after 9/11, we diverted the money to terrorism, which was important, but we started neglecting old-fashioned crime. You got to fight both wars at the same time.
And Los Angeles is doing that. Along with New York and Chicago, its murder rate was down last year. Los Angeles police say part of the solution was saturating high crime areas.
10% of the criminals commit 50% of the crime, so we focus on them. 10% of the locations where crime occurs there repeatedly. We focus attention there.
Memphis adopted the same approach after a 50% spike at one point this year.
We're targeting specific areas where crime is increasing and hope that we can reduce all violent crime, not just murder.
It appears to be working. Memphis police say they've now cut the murder rate by nearly a third. With homicides surging across the nation, expect more cities to adopt the same plan. Pierre Thomas, ABC News, Washington.
And to find out where your city ranks in the crime statistics, you can log on to our website at abcnews.com. Coming up, young, talented, and taking risks. The star quarterback who was not wearing a helmet when he crashed his motorcycle today.
My name is Sarah. I've had a sleep problem. Actually, different problems. Sometimes I couldn't fall asleep, or I'd fall asleep and I couldn't stay asleep. My doctor suggested that I try Ambien CR, the latest Ambien. It does both. Helps me fall asleep and stay asleep. It's the only one with 2 layers. One dissolves quickly to help you fall asleep fast. The other dissolves slowly to help you stay asleep. A good night's sleep makes a big difference.
Ambien CR is a treatment option you and your doctor can consider along with lifestyle changes and can be taken for as long as your doctor recommends. Until you know how Ambien CR will affect you, you shouldn't drive or operate machinery. Be sure you're able to devote 7 to 8 hours to sleep before being active again. Side effects may include next-day drowsiness, dizziness, and headache. It's non-narcotic. However, like most sleep medicines, it has some risk of dependency. Don't take it with alcohol.
Falling asleep and staying asleep. Both problems handled.
Ask your doctor about Ambien CR. Remember, that's CR for a good night's sleep from start to finish.
If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands.
Wouldn't it be great if your insides could be this happy? They can, with new all-bran yogurt bites.
Tasty golden bran flakes plus yogurt-coated oat clusters. And just one serving provides 40% of your daily fiber needs.
Yeah!
So don't make us unhappy. We know where you live.
If you're happy,
new all-bran yogurt bites. Get happy inside.
What's wrong?
Upset about eye allergies? There's a Visine for that. Visine A provides powerful relief of itchy red allergy eyes. Clinical studies prove it. Eye allergies? There's a Visine for that.
Have 50,000 going once, twice, sold to the gentleman in the center.
I want to go ahead and sell it now.
Constantly buying and selling stocks doesn't make much sense either. That's why Edward Jones advises clients to buy long-term investments.
Hi, I'm Shirley.
And I'm Lonnie, and this is our story. We travel around the country square dancing.
It's our life.
Yeah.
We love it.
It keeps you active, but you do have the aches and pains.
Sometimes when we're dancing, the next morning we just can't hardly get out of bed because, it's arthritis again. I switched to Aleve when his doctor told us about it. I was amazed.
And it helps.
Take a leave. We can go dancing that night, too.
And you get to go around the square and hug the girls. That's why we square dance, so we can hug the ladies.
What?
Charles Gibson. He's been there, seen it, never backed down. In times like these, it's important to trust the source. Charles Gibson, one of the most respected names in news, now anchor ABC's World News Tonight, your trusted source.
On Wall Street today, investor worries about rising interest rates and economic growth push stocks down again. As last week's sell-off continued, the Dow Jones average was down another 99 points to close at 10,792. On the NASDAQ, stocks were down nearly 44 points. The U.S. soccer team got off to a disappointing start at the World Cup in Germany today. Team USA took the field against a dominating Czech Republic team and was shut out 3-0. U.S. coach Bruce Arena let his players have it in public after the loss, angrily saying they weren't aggressive enough. Their next game is Saturday against Italy. And the gifted young Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger was badly injured in a motorcycle crash today, 4 months after leading his team to a Super Bowl championship. Many people court danger by riding motorcycles without a helmet. But incredibly, they include star athletes like Roethlisberger who are putting their careers on the line. Here's ABC's David Muir.
It was just February quarterback Ben Roethlisberger was on the field, the youngest quarterback ever to lead a team to a Super Bowl win. Today, the Pittsburgh Steelers star spent hours in the operating room. Doctors would not describe the injuries. His agent would only say he had a broken nose and jaw.
Mr. Roethlisberger is in serious but stable condition.
Roethlisberger had been warned by his coach about riding his motorcycle, particularly without a helmet. The quarterback explained to ESPN why he rides without one.
If it was a law, I'd definitely have one on every time I rode. But it's not the law, so I know I don't have to, and you're just more free when you're out there and there's no helmet on.
One of the biggest names in sports right now, winning the Super Bowl at the age of 23, warned by his coach, and yet he still goes out and rides a motorcycle.
The warning came after Cleveland tight end Kellen Winslow missed an entire season after crashing on his bike. And the Chicago Bulls' Jason Williams' career was ruined after a motorcycle crash in 2003. He violated a clause in his contract forbidding him from riding. When it comes to helmets, only 20 states require them. But for adult riders, the rest do not. The Motorcycle Riders Foundation continues to lobby states to try to repeal helmet laws. In fact, Pennsylvania was one of the most recent to do so. Riders say it's a matter of personal choice.
Half of all motorcycle riders don't have private health insurance. And so when they're seriously injured, it's no longer personal choice. It becomes public responsibility.
Costing taxpayers $60 billion a year. Tonight, as Steeler fans wait for Roethlisberger's prognosis, helmet advocates hope this will finally send a message that even sports superstars are not immune. David Muir, ABC News, New York.
And there is a milestone to note on Capitol Hill. Today, West Virginia Senator Robert Byrd became the longest-serving senator in U.S. history. Dwight Eisenhower was president when Byrd first took office in 1959. Since then, he has spent a record 17,327 days in the Senate, more than 47 years, in which he has cast more than 17,000 votes. Today, Byrd says politicians spend too much time sparring and not enough time solving problems. The word retirement apparently not in his vocabulary because the 88-year-old Democrat is running for re-election. When we come back, why it's getting harder to see elephants when you go to the zoo.
There are so many aches and pains that keep you from getting a full night's sleep. But starting tonight, there's a new PM that has them covered. Introducing new Advil PM, the first and only PM with Advil. Now get multi-pain relieving power plus a non-habit-forming sleep aid to gently ease you to sleep. Nothing's proven better on tough pain than Advil. When aches and pains keep you up, there's new Advil PM. Stop hurting and start sleeping.
They say your footprint is as unique as your fingerprint.
Just like me, unique.
That's why Dr. Scholl's created Memory Fit insoles with memory foam to form to the shape of your foot.
It forms right around your feet.
For customized comfort, see the doctor, Dr. Scholl's.
I'm Ann, and I'm a GSK scientist. I just started Alzheimer's research when my grandmother was diagnosed. I wanted to hurry up and find a cure. We started working on ideas that no one else had tried. Maybe people don't think we try hard enough, but we believe we'll find the answers. And we're getting closer. What I see in the lab is very exciting. What I see at last is hope.
GlaxoSmithKline. Today's medicines finance tomorrow's miracles.
My spaceship would have special passageways, secret places to hide things, and a place to watch everything. So powerful it can go past Mars in 2 seconds. And shields all around, so I can protect myself from aliens. In my spaceship, I am the captain.
Introducing the all-new Hyundai Entourage, with the best crash test rating ever for a minivan.
I was just getting to the good part when Uncle Ernie dropped his tons. Oh, I'd seen that look before. It was heartburn. Before you could say duck sauce, I was there with my Pepcid Complete. I told him only Pepcid Complete starts to neutralize acid on contact and keeps heartburn from coming back all day or all night. In no time, Uncle Ernie was in Mushu heaven, and I had my eye on the spicy dumpling. Pepcid Complete, just one and heartburn's done.
I've lived here all my life.
I'm not going anywhere. I've made arrangements for assistance if I need it. I'm a realist. I know I'll be old one day.
Long-term care coverage from Mutual of Omaha Insurance Company.
I'm Steve Dunn. Next, the Northwest only all-local newscast tonight. We'll have these stories. A tragic end to the search for a truck loaded with stolen fireworks. How it was involved in a deadly crash. Plus, how Oregon is in the national spotlight for an experiment that could end the gas tax.
Tomorrow, a GMA online wake-up call. You and your friends may find true love online or danger you never saw coming. Now, GMA exposes the real dangers of online dating, from losing your money to even losing your life. How to protect yourself on Good Morning America.
Finally tonight, what's happening to elephants at America's zoos? Over the weekend, a 48-year-old Asian elephant named Gita died at the Los Angeles Zoo. That's a pretty long life for an elephant in captivity, but animal rights activists have been quick to seize on the story, saying, Gita, indeed, all elephants do not belong in zoos at all. ABC's Heather Nauert has the story.
The elephants at San Diego's Wild Animal Park have captivated children and adults for more than 30 years. But elephants here and at other zoos may have to pick up their trunks and move if animal rights activist and game show host Bob Barker gets his way.
I personally would like to see every zoo in the world closed.
Closed, and the animals transferred to sanctuaries, where they would have more room to roam out of sight of gawking zoogoers.
While as much as we may like to see them, they do not exist for our amusement.
Animals do not belong behind bars! Activists point out the elephant population is aging, and many are having trouble breeding. On average, only about 10 are born in the U.S. every year. In zoos where they spend all day on concrete floors, elephants have developed joint and foot problems. Not getting enough exercise has caused some to become fat, bored, and lazy.
Good girl.
But those who care for the animals say the amount of space has no bearing on health.
I firmly believe that it's not the size of the area that you have for elephants. It's actually what you do with those animals in that type of environment.
San Diego's Wild Animal Park strives to keep them busy. Elephants play with toys, forage for hidden food, and spend minimal time standing on hard surfaces.
They're very intelligent creatures. They cannot just languish in an exhibit. They must be given things to do.
Most zoos, however, aren't as well equipped.
There's a strong movement in this country to try and improve these conditions for the elephants. I think it's time that the zoos, wake up and smell the coffee.
And if they don't, the days of elephants in zoos may be numbered. Heather Nauert, ABC News, Escondido, California.
And that is World News Tonight for this Monday. A reminder that Nightline tonight and Good Morning America tomorrow morning will have the latest on what is now Tropical Storm Alberto, possibly to come ashore as a hurricane along Florida's Gulf Coast tomorrow. For all of us at ABC News, have a good evening and good night.
Charles Gibson. He's been there, seen it, never back down. In times like these, it's important to trust the source. Charles Gibson, one of the most respected names in news, now anchor ABC's World News Tonight, your trusted source.
The NBA Finals on ABC. Dallas stifled Shaq and the Heat to take a 2-0 lead. Now Miami looks to get back on track on their home floor. Game 3, tomorrow 8:30 Eastern on ABC.
Now, on K2 News at 6:30, a tragic end to the search for a truck loaded with stolen fireworks. How it was involved in a deadly crash in California. Plus, he survived a deadly nightclub fire. Years later, in a bizarre twist of fate, how fire has once again impacted his life, this time destroying everything he owns. Also, how a break-in at the Washington State Fish Hatchery could spell problems for Northwest salmon. And they're sweet and tasty, but why you might have trouble finding Oregon strawberries this summer.
Live at 6:30, K2 News, the spirit of the Northwest.
Good evening. Thanks a lot for being with us, everybody. I'm Steve Dunn, and our top local story tonight, what started as a search for a truck full of fireworks in Clackamas County, ends in a deadly crash in California. K2's Derek Skiba joins us live from our newsroom now with more on this tragic turn of events. Derek?
It is tragic, Steve. We've just learned that 4 men are in custody in connection with the fireworks theft. Officers say the teams of 2 were driving budget rental trucks filled with fireworks. One of the men has also been arrested for vehicular manslaughter. It started yesterday in Clackamas with the fireworks theft. One of the trucks crashed this afternoon in Coalinga, California. Then the other truck was caught